All right, here we go. It is podcasting time. Whether you are watching us on YouTube, whether you are listening to us across the internet on any variety of streaming devices, welcome. We're going to be talking cars. Glenn Powers here. I'm here. We are in the Powerworks Garage podcast studio, which I do want to say, William Murray, who's listening to us from Guelph.
The Bill Murray, or...
No, this is William Murray.
Oh, okay. This
is another. He's also a comedian, though. Professor at University of Guelph, and he absolutely loves the show, comments frequently, and loves the setup that we use at the Rove. I haven't got his comments about our setup here in the Powerworks garage.
Please be kind.
Yeah, we're gonna put a little bit of sounding up here, but you know what? It sounds good anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, DJ's not shouting at anyone yet, aren't they?
The most recent podcast that just went up from Powerworks has the Bentley show going on. So this is where you started up Bentley.
Oh yeah,
and it felt like the entire garage was shaking.
That feels like a while ago.
Yeah, just went up.
Yeah, two more of those in a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
One of them runs, the other one the engine's not in it, so we can't get that one going for you.
All right. Well, we got lots to talk about, and right off the bat, give you the show running order. We obviously want to check in what's going on in the garage. It's that time of year again where, oh man, people are trying to sell me every single additive you can buy. I don't know if they think that the Wrangler is, needs help, but it's crazy. And I asked the guy, you own a car? No. You know what this stuff does? It's good for your car. Okay. Yeah. Oil additives. Do we need them?
No.
That's a simple. No. Okay. Move on.
We can go a bit further into that. If you want.
Yeah.
There are additives. The manufacturers are technically the people that sell the oil. We'll call them like additive packs or something along those lines. And basically, they're put into oils to stabilize the lifespan of the oil. Yeah. So most oils nowadays are fully synthetic oils. Which basically just means that the molecules that make up the oil are all uniform. They've been made that way. Obviously, a mineral oil is natural,
right?
And
so there's some good inconsistencies.
But yeah, apart from the refining procedure, the molecules are all different sizes randomly, and so synthetic oil helps by making sure the oil is effectively oilier, and additives can help with that, and they can help with certain applications. So you could have a 5W30 oil grade in one engine and a 5W30 oil grade in another engine, but they might be completely different construction materials of the engine.
Let's pause for just a second. Remind us when we get 5W30 or 5W40 or 20W50, what is the first number? What is letter? What is the second number?
Yeah, so you're basically talking about the way and the volume of the oil that flows in different temperatures. So the first number refers to the cold temperature. It's the amount of oil flow I think it is at 0 degrees. Okay. And then the second one is the hot temperature, which I think is at 100 degrees. Doesn't really matter. It's how much the oil can flow at different temperatures. And these days with alloy and aluminium components of engines that we didn't used to have, we were always cast iron. Engines were always cast iron.
Yeah, the good old days.
Well, not really. I mean, not really.
Yeah, the good old days. If you have a cast iron block in your automobile, there's probably very few electronic items under that hood.
Oh yeah,
you could pretty much sleep under there if it's a cold day.
Yeah,
get that engine hot, turn it off, and then bring your sleeping bag into that. That's if it's cast iron, that's the era.
Yeah, I mean the tolerances on those engines were, it's almost like they didn't have machines to manufacture these things. So the oil didn't really matter. You put chip pan oil in it if you wanted to. But nowadays engines are so tight on tolerance. A lot of that's down to it makes them more efficient, which is better for emissions, better for fuel consumption. But you have to understand that there are different materials in different engines. So VW design an engine and Mercedes design an engine. They will maybe have the same displacement.
Yeah.
They might take the same oil, but they'll have got to that through a different way. And additives in oil, generally speaking, the oil that you buy off the shelf is normally designed for a certain application. So
I think this is a key point, is you're buying oil off the shelf wherever you are. It's not pure. Every company has gone in and they've tweaked their mixture. They've put in things so that it doesn't burn too much, or longer life. It's synthetic now anyway. So there's all sorts of stuff that's gone on in the can or in the bottle or in the whatever, however you're in the drum. The oil that you're getting, say from Total, it's a very much a manufactured item.
Yeah,
that's full of additives.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one of the additives that people will often put in as an extra is things like stop smoke, or
I see those all the time now.
Stop leak, even seal conditioner, all that sort of stuff. And it's like
the seal conditioner is the one that gets me. If your oil is leaking through the seals, you need to get something else done. And the stop leak.
Yeah.
I always think, okay, hold on a second. It's finding the hole and it's blocking it up. What else is it blocking? It's a stopgap.
Yeah.
It's going to get you to the garage to get it fixed. But if you just keep putting in the stop leak, you're done for.
Yeah, I mean, somebody that has a situation where they might have a car that's not quite got to the age where it's a classic, so it's worth spending a load of money on. What
age is a classic car?
30 years.
30? Is it 30?
Yeah.
I truly have no idea.
No, I mean, here
years?
you can't get a classic number plate till the car's 30 years old, but
okay.
For me, I think 30 is about right.
30 years, okay.
I mean, if I think back to the cars that were new when I was 6, I think they'd be classics now. Mark II Golf GTI, classic.
I'm thinking. I remember the days, and it, again, back to I think when I was 18, we were driving around in Golf. I was a Rabbit. I don't know. Old design.
Be a classic, right? It's a classic.
Same guy who owned the Rabbit also owned a Combi.
Classic.
With no back seats. It was just front seats and
a mattress.
Pretty much. And he drove it like he stole it. And it was always, this thing's going to flip. It's on the Rabbit frame. Don't worry. It's like, I don't know.
Nice.
So I guess those would be classics today too.
Yeah, but I mean those. 30 years. I think it's fair for classics.
So if you're looking at a classic, maybe
but
some of these.
I mean, once it gets to the point of you thinking it is a classic, then it's probably worth you spending money on fixing the leaks. And if it's smoking, have that looked at as well. Whereas if it's like 20, 25 years old, it's just an old Prado or something, who's bothered? Then, okay, I can't be bothered to stop it smoking. It's not worth me fixing it. It's going to cost me 10 grand. I'm just going to stop smoking it every time I change the oil or something.
What's in stop smoke that makes it stop smoking?
It's usually, it depends, but the snake oil. But I think one of the common ones, they have metallic compounds in there, molybdenum,
all right,
that are, if you read the bottle and believe in it, that fill the gaps between the cylinders, between the cylinder bore and the pistons.
Okay.
I mean, some people say that they've had success with it. I think if it gets to the point where, as the owner of the vehicle, you're noticing smoke out the back of the engine, out the back of the car from the exhaust, to then put stop smoke in, you're probably too far gone.
Okay. And when we talk oil smoke, because sometimes you get a variety of exhaust fumes.
Yeah.
What is oil? Blackish, brownish, bluish?
Yeah, so oil smoke will give you it'll be a dark coloured smoke, but it'll have a blue tinge to it, so when the light hits it, you can see the blue. Almost like, do people do this in Canada? Like old ladies dye their hair blue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like a blue rinse.
Yeah.
It looks like that. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it looks like that. So that's kind of the colour you get to.
I was thinking of doing a blue rinse myself.
Go for it. We'll do it as a sponsored hair dye.
Oh, by the way, and I am now starting a campaign because 2023, Shania Twain is doing her world tour, whole year on tour. She was on the People's Choice Awards yesterday, or the day before.
Which people chose her?
Whoever it was, she won the People's Choice Awards for being Shania Twain.
Right.
She did a medley of some of her hits. And remember, when she did the hits, it was before we had Spotify and those kind of things. She did a medley of her hits with on-stage costume changes. She comes out, she's got pink hair. She's strutting her stuff. And, you know, I got to say, I saw her at the Saddle Dome probably over 10 years ago in Calgary when she came off the Vegas tour, and she brought it on the road, and there was no one in their seats. Mind you, there were all people of my vintage, but there was no one in their seats. And I remember my two boys are going in. They're listening to Guns N' Roses on their headphones because they're going, I don't want to go and see Shania Twain. Now I think they're regretting that. They'll never admit it, but...
Well, now she's won a People's Choice Award. I mean, they'll be...
Well, even then. But we're going through the gate at the Calgary Stampede, and there's, you know, a couple of teenage women working the gate, and they're saying, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" "We're going to go see Shania." She goes, "Oh, I wish I had tickets." And I'm going to the boys, "Look, swap out the ticket. You work the gate and let her come in and see the show." And they're going, "Oh, no." Anyway, the point is, at 58, Shania Twain still got it. She needs to come to Dubai. Coca-Cola.
I have no interest in this. Shania Twain.
I'd like to have her shoot a little video here in the garage.
Hey, good exposure, like, don't get me wrong. But
that will impress you much.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that we should bring as many. Who's coming from Canada here to get the car fixed?
That'll be it. You'll get everyone.
Well, yeah, maybe Joey Woo would come over then after that.
Maybe. Now, speaking of Joey Woo, nice transition in there. He is promising me the Charger review. His big complaint with the Charger: doesn't have heated seats.
Well, you know, Canada, it's the winter.
I know. He's saying his old bones need heated seats.
That's genuine. I mean, there's no reason not to have it these days.
I'm thinking wussy. You know, you put a little bit of sheepskin, you know, seat cover down on there.
The Volkswagens have spoiled him, haven't they?
They have. He rear wheel drive. He
sensible.
He did send a few videos, and he says he's still got to do the review. He was on a back road in light snow cover, going crazy.
Thing is, right, you say light snow cover, but you're Canadian. Snow cover, what's that, like 6 inches?
Well, I think the best one is we called him out on his filming when he was driving, and he claims he's got a dashboard mounted camera. I think it's on a gimbal because the darn thing moves around a lot.
Well, just as a disclaimer, we can neither confirm nor deny whether or not he's holding the phone.
It's on a gimbal.
Nobody can prove it.
I think he's got a gimbal attached to a helmet. I'm pretty sure anyway.
Well, I don't know what a gimbal helmet is, but
Joey Woo would have one because Dougie would have probably helped him, you know, get that thing really going. And just imagine, remember, Dougie is the Smash Up Derby guy.
Yep.
These guys are both working together at refurbishing nuclear stuff.
As long as they're not making videos while they're supposed to be doing that, I
Who
think
knows?
we're probably good.
Who knows? So the Charger review is coming, and I got to say, he really likes the Charger.
I prefer the Challenger to look at, but fair play. We had a Charger in last week that was, he's a DJ here, and he'd been on the Gumball.
DJ Khaled?
No.
DJ Khaled?
Not that one.
No, okay.
Not that famous.
DJ Bliss?
No, it was a guy called Jan, and he came in with it, and he'd been on the Gumball 3000, which was round UAE in Oman, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he'd driven over somebody's blown out tyre.
Oh.
And smashed his fuel tank.
Yeah.
And then the story and photographs he then went on to tell me about where there was a young guy whose dad owns quite a big group of companies here, who'd bought himself a McLaren for his birthday, 21.
Gee.
Had a blowout. Ripped, obviously, the wheel and the tyre to pieces, ripped the wing fender, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Damaged the whole side of the car. Because he's under 25, he's got a 20% excess on the repair.
Yeah.
And McLaren have told him that the accident repair will cost 480,000 dirhams. That's some speed.
Yeah, how fast was he going?
Yeah. Blow a tire out and then do all that damage.
Yeah. Well,
and he's going to pay 20% of that.
Okay.
Well, his dad has.
His dad has to, but yeah.
But ouch.
Yeah, and the car's never going to be the same. Like, let's face it. You even get it agency repaired, it's just not going to be the same.
I don't know how you justify spending that much money. I know it's an expensive car, but for the better part of,
I couldn't do it.
He's got to spend 100K on excess.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Devastation.
Yeah, totally.
But
at least he didn't get killed.
Up to the point of it blowing.
Yeah,
he was having fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
now he's not having so much fun.
No, but he must have video. He must have a GoPro going on a gimbal.
Possibly.
If he needs one, Joey Woo can set him up.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, at 21, he's not learning his lesson either, is he? So he's going to do it again. So
classic one. It's talked about 21-year-olds. I got a boy who's 24, and doesn't have a license.
Okay.
And was planning to come. Hopefully it does happen, but airfares right now are insane.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't have a license, he can't drive any of our cars. And it's kind of like, I said, well, you're bringing your girlfriend. She can drive. The silence. Yeah, she could, but in Dubai, it's gonna be. So we just take all the back roads. Sorry, I can get you a list. Anyway, we'll see. But I just thought
to the system.
I just thought that was kind of a sign of the times, right? You've got some kids who are getting cars and whatnot. And then you got a whole bunch who don't even have driver's license. They don't even, there's no need really.
There's a lost generation of car owners, which is fitting in with the lack of production. So nobody's really that worried about it.
On the upside, I got another friend, K Wood, and his son just hitting the mark there. He's just, I think he's 11 now. And maybe 12. And he said he woke up the other morning and a switch flicked in his boy's brain. He's now a motorhead, a petrol head. He's into cars. He says one day he's not, next day he's all about cars. He goes, testosterone has kicked in.
Yeah,
so
he's there. Okay. He's ready.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is. I don't really remember when it happened for me.
You know what?
It was just always you just did it.
Yeah. I just remember, you're looking at the neighbors, someone got a new car, we had vans and we had cars. And then I remember distinctly in high school being in the library and looking at, Road and Track. The library had subscriptions to all that. I remember every day we'd get out those, we'd be comparing and look at this and look at that. And
it's just one of those things you did, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember having it was like £3.50 in my pocket, and I was in WH Smith's, and I was on the bus because I was waiting for the bus. That's why I was wandering around WH Smith, because I didn't want to be at the bus stop with everyone pinning up. But I was stood there waiting, wandering around WH Smith, and I just saw Max Power magazine on the shelf, and there was a green Golf GTI on the front. Big bumper version, obviously modified. Anyone in the UK knows what Max Power magazine was. And half of it was heavily modified cars, just mainly cosmetically, but they were the odd well done one. And the other half of it was scantily clad.
There you go.
Women.
Yeah.
So 16-year-old boy, £3.50 in my pocket.
You're buying that.
Got my Mega Rider for the bus, so I don't need to pay anything.
Yeah.
I'll buy that magazine. And I can't ever remember having seen one. Can't ever remember having looked at one. I got a lot of older friends because I played football with a few guys that were a lot older than me, and friends that had older brothers, but I'd never really seen one. It just appealed.
Yeah. And
then that was it then.
Finished.
I can't really. And it was buy one every month then when it came out. I'm pretty sure they don't even make that magazine anymore.
Yeah.
It's probably been the case for a long, long time.
Probably not politically correct at all.
Well, no, but I mean, it was. It came in the plastic. It come in the plastic cover,
right?
And so it covered most of the stuff on the front in case it was lewd. But I mean, those days, what's that? 2002, you get away with anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. But I don't ever remember. It was just always one of those. My granddad used to service his own cars, my dad kind of liked his cars, but he was never really into them. He never pushed me that way. But he just grew up and messed about with them, right?
Yeah,
So,
I know we had Monacos. My stepfather had a Thunderbird.
yeah,
It's a great car. Just
Yeah.
a great car. That Land Cruiser, but we're talking Oldsmobile Estate Land Cruiser, seats 10 with the fold up backward seat in the thing. And, I always remember that car because it got horrible gas mileage, like horrible, but analog dash, right? And it had on the bottom right-hand corner of the analog dash where you had that big sweeping arm that's going to tell you you're doing 120 miles an hour, kind of sweeping across. It had a fuel consumption gauge to tell you if you were getting good fuel economy. How it knew? I mean, there's no computer in that car. This was analog everything. So I think it was just a joke.
Yeah, just a gimmick.
But it was, I love that thing. I mean, you get that thing out on the road, and it was a boat.
Not like it's not like an old American manufacturer to make a car that's not very good with fuel, is it? Hey.
We're out in the prairies, Castor, Alberta. We'd be out there. So you're trying to get anywhere. It's 3 hours.
4 petrol stops.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we would fly out there from Toronto to visit my mom. We'd fly out to go to the airport. It's a 3.5 hour drive. So you're calling to see if the plane's on time.
Oh, no.
You got a 3.5 hour drive to get to the airport to get onto that flight. And so the same thing, it was only a 3 hour flight to get there, then a 3.5 hour flight drive to get home.
But is this before the whole 9/11 tightening up of security? So you could get to the airport at like 20 minutes before the flight.
Yeah. The good old days.
I was watching Home Alone the other day with the kids, right?
Yeah.
Great. After Die Hard, it's probably the best Christmas film ever. And we were sat watching it with the kids, which is a real bad idea, by the way, because then they just threw all the stuff over the floor and said they were setting traps on me.
Yeah.
They don't need to tidy up, it's booby traps.
Yeah.
But I was watching it, and they're obviously they're late for the plane, so they're running through the airport with the tickets and the passports straight to the gate.
Yeah.
What?
No,
and you forget.
Yeah. But those were also the flights, that era that I'm talking about, which is pretty much the era of Home Alone, where you would get onto the flight and there was a smoking section.
Yeah.
You're in a tin can. And I remember being in the seat right behind the smoking section. I might as well
You're in the smoking section.
The whole plane was the smoking section.
Every time they open the curtain. Yeah. No. Hey, that's
yeah.
If you think about, you see some of the cars on that thing, on that film.
Oh.
Cars in films, and they age films big time.
Yeah.
I think there's probably, obviously, and you get stuff on TV like your period dramas and period sitcoms or whatever it may be. And there was one in the UK, I think it was called Life on Mars, set in the 80s, about a policeman.
Okay.
And he got an Audi Quattro.
Oh,
and obviously, you can imagine the person responsible for setting costume.
Yeah.
That had to go and get that car. I really hope they appreciated the car that they got.
That's a big square one too, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's do you understand how lucky you are? Your job, someone paid you to go and get that.
Yeah.
And it's I'd have loved that job. Go and find me a Quattro, here's your money.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just going to check it's all right. And sorry, we've had to rent this from the owner, but he said only I can drive it. But yeah, when it's not done that way and it's just the cars of the time, you see the cars on films and TV, and that's when you notice how we've changed. American cars all just look like police cars that weren't black and white for a long time.
Yeah.
So if they just didn't have the lights on and they weren't black and white, they were just all the same, just wallowing around.
The Caprice, the Malibu, the LTD.
Yeah.
Ford LTD. We don't even make LTDs anymore. That was it.
Ford make anything anymore?
I'm not sure. I saw something the other day, but I don't. There's just not so many new cars on the road. So
no.
So it's. There was what did I say? I saw a new Tahoe yesterday, but it was an armor covered one, so I'm not so sure. I'm not sure if there was a shake in it, but they did slow down right beside me, which got me a little nervous. But I think they were admiring the Christmas shirt.
Definitely.
And I'm
100%.
looking over, taking a look over, black tinted windows, and thinking, okay, it's just a Tahoe. Until it went a little bit forward, so I don't know what they were doing, but we were going side by side, and I don't drive fast, so it had bull bars on the back, and then I'm noticing the signal lights, and I'm going, those are kind of weird looking. Then I realized, they're weird looking because They must have a switch they can flick inside, and either they open up and machine guns come out, or you got the police, all the police gear then kicks in. So they wear strobe lights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a new one, and it kind of looked like an old one.
Yeah.
Like nothing had really changed.
Yeah.
So
it is so strange.
I'm not seeing a lot of new cars on the road right now. A couple now and then, but
we've got people in here now. Obviously, we're conscious that cost of living's high for everybody, so we are doing what we can. But we have people in here spending 2 and 3 times more than what they would have spent on their cars equivalent 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Because what option do they have?
Yeah.
They sell it, okay, they get a decent price for it, but it's broken, so they'll get beat on the price. But everything used is super high because there's no new.
Yeah. I got a friend who she was talking about she's going to start looking for used cars. So the great story, though. This is a classic one. So driving a Volvo Estate, late model, air conditioning issue. So the air conditioning, they've got it fixed, I don't know, half a dozen times. Not here. I keep saying, go to Powerworks. At least get them to look at it.
Volvo AC is notorious.
Yeah. So this thing, they get it fixed. And even when they get it fixed, it really doesn't work.
Ouch.
So they were sharing the story, though. And she's going, but I love the Volvo because it is rock solid. It's a great car. Only problem is this AC does not work. And she said yesterday, her husband drove the thing to take to the garage because it was making a new sound. She goes, unrecognizable sound, but it was new and got me a little worried. And you know, when someone's used to driving a car that makes a lot of sounds and then suddenly it's making a sound that gets you worried, it's probably something. But she was telling the story about the AC because she's saying, this AC hasn't worked for years. We keep getting it fixed, and every time we get it fixed, it's $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000, and then it still doesn't work. It works for a week or two, and then so she's going. The real indication was we can't drive this thing another summer was a year ago or so. They're at Festival City at the PCR testing line.
No.
June.
Oh no!
They thought it was going to be fast. They get into the line. It's early in the morning. No one's going to be here. They get into the line, and there's no turning back.
Yeah.
They're in the line for an hour. Midday. No AC. Everyone in the car. Windows are open. They can't back out. They're too committed now. He said cloth seats soaked through. They're soaked through. It was...
Devastated.
I'm not going to mention anyone's name. Just Nirmala. If you know Nirmala and the Volvo, you'll know the story. And she was telling me this last night. She was just laughing. She says, her daughters don't let her live this down. She said, they were literally balancing up off the seats because the seats were soaked, but they're also cloth, so they were hot.
Oh.
And the car is running, blowing hot air.
Yeah. Yeah. The worst thing you can do when your AC isn't working, the first thing you need to do is turn your fan off, and stop it blowing air in.
Yeah.
Because the air that comes in is hot off the engine.
Dude.
Oh no!
So they're thinking they got to start looking. And I said,
we have had, and I've had prior to opening Powerworks issues with Volvo ACs. One of the problems for Volvos here is that they aren't very well. They're not very well catered for parts wise.
Really?
We did a lot of work.
I wouldn't think that.
Me and Pete did a lot of work with the Borg and Beck parts, so we can get the Borg and Beck stuff. But Borg and Beck don't make every part.
Yeah.
So, they're difficult to. I mean, they're not overly common on the roads either, are they? You've got to, realise that. So, the importer is going to base their stock levels on units sold. So that is one of the problems. It's like 15 days for everything, or twice what you'd expect to pay.
Yeah.
But I think we had an XC90 that we did an AC compressor on. And the option locally was either obviously the genuine one, which we had to wait for, and it was about 7,500 dirhams. Or
at that point, like people start convulsing on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or an aftermarket one, which was only about 3,000 dirhams, which is still a lot of money, but it's less than the considerably less. But I think then the customer bought one from a motor factory in the UK and brought it back with him.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's where it was. It was either bought it back with him or he ordered it and got it delivered. I'm pretty sure he brought it back with him.
Yeah.
And it was obviously a fraction of the cost and job done. But yeah, we've had lots of fun and games with ACs on Volvos before. Yeah.
Yeah. I threw a link in that I thought was kind of fun. It's near the back. It's number 3 actually, and it's coming out of the UK. No, sorry, this is out of the US.
Okay.
CNBC. And it's got 10 cars that they're looking at, and they're talking about lifespan.
Yep.
And I was just I in the most recent podcast that we've posted, there is a piece with a Toyota Prado that you were talking about, a guy who's brought it in, and he's at that point where doesn't, he's getting it fixed, and there's little things that he's willing to let go because the odometer was just phenomenal. And I'm looking here in the top 4, three of them are Toyotas.
Yeah, the only one that surprises me on that list, the ones on that list don't surprise me, and I'll go through that and my reasons why. But the only one that surprises me on that list is the Prius.
Yeah, I would. I put it down to it's Toyota.
Yeah, I know, but the battery's a battery, innit?
But I guess those were all hybrids. So
I know, but we all know. You've been there.
Yeah.
Who's fixing that?
Yeah, I don't know. They're
Can you imagine looking at a Prius after it's 5-6 years old and being like, all right, I'll pay $25,000-$30,000 for a battery. No, thanks.
Yeah. It was a crazy one.
So whatever they did on the Prius obviously was good. The Suburban, the Yukon, and the Tahoe are all the same car, basically, aren't they?
Right.
Basically the same. The Suburban and the Yukon XL.
265,000 miles.
Long versions. Yeah, but I think that's down to the people using them.
A lot of highway miles, a lot of stuff.
And I think for the longest time, General Motors stayed quite true to the American sort of right to repair, took it quite literally, in that you could do most of the stuff on your driveway.
Yeah.
Keep them going on your driveway. The engines were proven. They weren't new. They haven't had a new engine in those for years.
Yeah.
So the engines are as good as they needed to be. Not at all efficient or good for the environment.
Well, and when you're looking at a Suburban, I mean, I
love those cars.
That's the extended Yukon.
Yeah, so it's a Yukon XL, and then the Tahoe is obviously the short version of those two.
I've always wanted a Suburban. It's always been a dream thing because you could camp in it, and it's just giant.
Just get out my way.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm massive. Trying to just getting in the car park, and getting stuck and being like,
the Mad Nat. You're going to go park on the second basement in the Mad Nat.
No chance.
With an Explorer. Or, sorry, with a Suburban.
I was getting real mad yesterday. So, my daughter, May's hurt her neck, right?
Oh, no, sorry.
So, my fault. I threw her about in the swimming pool.
Are you sure it's not the Home Alone? You just were talking Home Alone and the booby traps. Did she get boobied by her own trap?
So, we're messing around in the pool. I'm throwing her up in the air, and she's going in the water. And she's doing all right, putting her feet out or hands out, whichever comes first. She decided this time she'd just use her chin to break the fall. So, she's got a bit of whiplash, right?
Yeah.
So, I've got a good friend who's a customer who's a chiropractor, and she came with me when I went for an adjustment, and she loved it.
Okay.
So he gave her a little adjustment, and she was obsessed. He's like, oh, it's real good. So whatever. So I said, well, we'll go and see him so we can get a referral for an X-ray. Because there's a really good place in Discovery Gardens here.
Okay.
You walk in, walk out. Honestly, in and out, 15 minutes, X-ray on a disc and ready to go.
Good to know.
So... And she's just started skateboarding, so we're going to need that place, right?
Full equipment, right? Like full equipment. Yeah.
They get wrist guards nowadays.
Put the wrist guards.
What's that all about?
Oh, no.
No, she's using them.
My son uses a one wheel. He was on a boosted before that, but he's on a one wheel. One wheel way more dangerous than a boosted. Yeah. And in there, you just Google and YouTube some of the people who've had things. When he's on the one wheel, first time he took it out, maybe second time, he didn't have the wrist guards on, and he took a tumble, and he said he was just lucky that he didn't break both of his wrists.
So she's got those anyway.
Yeah. Helmet, elbow,
everything.
wrists, knees. At least, you're good.
Yeah, but at least we got the X-ray place ready. So anyway, he goes there, gets the X-ray, then goes to see Andrew, not Andrew Thomas, the chiropractor. He do some damage.
Yeah.
But we go and see the chiropractor, and he looks through the X-rays with us. Yeah, this bit of whiplash, whatever. Anyway, we've parked in a car park out the back.
And
spaces are Dubai size.
What are you in? What are you driving?
In the van. I'm in the van. Okay. The spaces are Dubai size. They're not tight. There are some places where you think, do you not know where we are when you painted these lines?
So Mumbai tuk-tuk, parking.
Yeah. But these decent.
Okay.
Now, the car next to us is a QX56, so the Nissan Patrol Infiniti version, the old version of it. He's trying to reverse out of his space. Can't get out.
Of course not.
So I'm looking over through the window at him. The windows are quite tinted on our car, on the van, and on his car as well. And I'm like looking over, and I'm thinking, Now I feel embarrassed if I ask him, do you want me to go out and reverse back in?
Yeah.
So you can use my space to swing round.
Yeah.
But the only other option is he hits the van,
Yeah.
or I get in the car and do it for him.
Yeah.
And I'd rather, the least embarrassing thing for everybody is just move, pretend you go in and go back. So I put the window down, gestured that I was going to move. The international sign for I'm going to move. He knew what I meant.
Yeah.
Or he thought I was offending him. I don't know.
Please show up yet?
No, not yet. So I drove out of the space, pulled over.
Yeah.
Left the window down because I'm expecting a thank you wave.
Yeah. Oh, you see, that always makes me mad.
No.
Yeah.
So I hope he is embarrassed. Get a smaller car if you can't park. There's no one else in the car with him, natural. Massive 7-seater car. Yeah. 5.6 litre engine in it. Just one person driving around.
Environmental disaster. Yeah.
But yeah.
But I get the same thing this morning. Not parking, but this is about just a little thank you, and I had one yesterday where we're coming off the 311 and I'm curving down onto Elk Hill Road. So anyone, and I'm right by Academic City, Silicon Oasis, and nightmare with traffic. So, and this person kind of nudges in. I slow down because I was like, okay, well, you know what, you're gonna barge in. Do they barge in? But they gave me the 4-way flasher. Hey, thank you very much. And I'm going, you know what? Anytime I'll do that for you.
Yeah.
And I had another one this morning, was also a nice one. I'm merging into traffic, and it's one of these deals where you've got 2 lanes that are going to go left, and you got 2 lanes that are going to go right, and then you got 2 that are going straight through. But there's a point where there's only 4 lanes, so people are jockeying around. I got my signal light on. I'm convinced that there are a group of people worldwide who think that those are Christmas ornaments or Diwali ornaments or Eid ornaments. They don't understand that they're actually functional indicators that you want to make a right or a left turn. And so I put my signal light on, and this morning I had 2 people who were like racing to get in front of me. They get in front of me, and then they go right when I'm going left. So if they just slow down, I slow down. And then I had another one, so it was this morning after these 2 people, and I'm just kind of going like, really, dude? And they don't even make eye contact, right? And I'm thinking, you see my car. It's 2008. Are you looking at the bumpers? Like, why are you even tempting me?
Because just hit me.
Yeah, because I got these running boards that are going to hit your car first. So, there's no... It's like...
Yeah, so just joking it.
But then there's this guy in a BMW. It was actually a woman in a BMW. And she sees this whole thing happening. She sees my signal light. And she's way back, and she puts on her signal light to indicate she's going the other way, and we just swap spots. And I'm thinking, I gave her the little 4-way, hey, thank you very much. But I'm thinking, that's the way you do it. She knew she was going to go, hey, I'm just going to swap spots with this guy, and we're done.
When you sat wanting to change lanes off of a roundabout or something to take your exit, and you've got your indicator on to go right, and there's somebody that will then sit in your blind spot or just outside, so you can just see them.
Yeah.
But they won't speed up to get past. They won't slow down to let you in.
Yeah.
And then at the very last minute, they speed up and then get in front of you and change lanes. It happens all the time.
I pull the Steve Braden.
Me and DJ do some vigilante work sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I pull the Steve Braden, Captain Steve. And Captain Steve, what he would do is he would just stay right on the bumper of the guy in front of him, and he did not care.
Me and DJ have done that a few times.
And just stay on that bumper, and they're beeping their horn, and they're getting angry. It's like, no, dude. Until they have to speed off because they're not, and I just stay on. And there's days when I do that too.
We do that. We were on. There's a big traffic light roundabout on, which I'm sorry is the worst combination.
Which one?
Traffic light and roundabout.
Yeah, which one?
Well, in general, but this one is on the Al Qudra Road where it intersects the D54 Sheikh Hamdan Road. Okay.
There's another one over by the Safari Park by Dragon Mart. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
So, I got caught in that the other day, and it was just like, it was 20 minutes.
It's 4 lanes at the roundabout. Yeah.
Oh, no.
The left lane is left only.
Yeah, okay.
The second lane in from the left is left and straight.
Yeah.
The third lane is straight, and then the 4th lane is right or straight.
Yeah.
Now, everybody, and they do it to us all the time because we're in the van, They think we get past the van's too slow.
Yeah.
They don't realise it's a racing machine, but we're sat there. So they'll go Now we always take the second lane because you go straight on in it.
Yeah.
Because there's an exit just after the roundabout that bunches up. So we're clear of that and to the Alcudger Street. People then try and overtake on the roundabout, so they go on the inside to get round us. So we'll just signal left.
Yeah.
We'll just do a loop around the roundabout and force you around, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not our problem.
Exactly.
Get in the right lane.
Yeah. I have no issues with doing one more time. One more time. I'm just like, you know what? I have no issues.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Take pleasure in it sometimes after a bad day. Don't push me on the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the indicator ones. The indicator ones are just so frustrating.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
And you know, people are angry at 7:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
And at all these lights. What are they going to be like when they get to work?
But is it? Yeah, but is it?
They got to be in front of you. I got to be for. No. The other one. This one kills me. This is again coming. So I got the perfect example coming into Murdiff, and if you're coming into Murdiff and you can go straight through where it takes you up to the 311, or you curve to the right and you can take a right to Warka. There's 2 lanes that are going to eventually go right to Warka, and 3 lanes that are going to go left into Murdiff. Yeah. And you'll get someone because somewhere in people's minds it's been programmed. If you're going fast, you must be in the left lane, and they're flashing me, and so I get out of the way, and then they go 3 lanes over to the right. I'm going, dude, why wouldn't you just get in behind me? And so as soon as someone starts doing that, flash me, I just slow down and I put on the 4 ways. And it's like, you know what? This is danger. You got a problem. You call the police.
Yeah.
Because you're in danger in my life and everyone on the road. And no one is going to say, well, he has 4 ways on. He's going to slowly get over eventually. I said, and they get angry. They're right on. And then again, they're on the back. And I'm thinking, my license plate's held on with duct tape, dude.
Yeah.
Are you seriously? Yeah. You're going to chance me?
Like, it could be a charcoal canister about to hit you.
Oh, I mean, I sometimes just think it's like, dude, you want to put on a neck brace, you want to put on a helmet, and just hit the brakes.
Yeah. Like, I have been known to brake test a few times.
Yeah, I do that once in a while. You see the people.
Yeah. The best ones when they scream over 3 lanes to undertake you. You stay where you are. By the time they've been screwed and filtered and back, they come back behind you.
Yeah,
that's the best.
And then they're flashing again.
Sakim, from here to our house, an absolute nightmare. Complete total disaster. Yeah. It's a car park, literally all the way.
Yeah,
and it's what takes 12 minutes on a Sunday morning to get in is easily 45 in the morning and an hour at night.
See, I always get burned because I'm always going places down by the marina or whatever on a Sunday, and then one day we thought, oh, we're going in the week, and we went. Where did we go? We were at the Meridian, and it was a Wednesday, and we get on Waze to come home. So anyone who doesn't know Dubai, this is way over past the Burj Al Arab and all that, and a nice area. But it's also leading onto JLT and the marina area. So newer, but we're talking 15 years now, 12 years.
Yeah.
And it's a great area. It's wonderful. You just don't want to drive. So you're taking the tram, you're taking the metro to the tram. And so we're coming out of the Meridian. It's a Wednesday night. It's 5:00. It's telling me to go home via Expo, which means I'm driving
all the way up. Yeah,
I'm driving towards Abu Dhabi. Yeah. I live towards Sharjah.
Yeah.
So instead of going
77
left,
and 611.
Yeah. And it was busy. The road was busy, and that's when I got off and was by the safari park.
Yeah.
And got caught in traffic for 20 minutes waiting for the roundabout.
Mondays we're on the Palm on Mondays doing a pirate surf with the daughter, and we don't take Expo, but we have before when the maps have said there's a jam on the Alias Street through DIP. But we've taken, and then, so typically, right, and we've got neighbours that go to the same thing, and we're always back 25, 30 minutes before them.
Yeah.
They'll go Sakim.
Right.
And this is like 6:30 at night. Peak. So Amy came because we had a visit from Santa this week. Okay. So she wanted to see the girls with Santa. So I was like, just follow me. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I know a quicker way.
No.
The first time, right, this has been going on for a year. The first time there was traffic, I mean, there was a curtain-sided lorry on its side of it.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how either. It's not windy, and it was straight. But anyway, so that was, I mean, it was still quicker than going the other way.
Yeah.
But, just that side of town.
Yeah.
But you know what?
We don't go out. We don't go out at night. People say, "Oh, do you want to come out to this? You want to come out to that?" No. It's like, why? Well, because I'm never going to get home.
Yeah.
And it's, every time we think, oh, you know what? We've been here 22 years. Let's do it. Let's go. We haven't been out there in a long time. And we're 3/4 of the way there. And it's like, why do we do this? And we sit in the car going, this is why we don't do this.
They've got the Christmas tree lighting at Expo tomorrow night, right? Yeah. Go there. Yeah. Easy to get to from Murdiff.
Yeah. True.
Real easy to get to there. And there's loads of stuff there now.
Yeah. Maybe. That might be a fun thing.
Yeah. We'll see if, see what time it's on.
I guess all the Christmas lightings are back on. So used to love going to some of the ones at the Albustan by the airport and stuff. And
yeah, I've got some friends that sort of help with the running of the Kempinski hotels, and they did theirs the other day.
Okay,
I missed it, so I couldn't make it. But
mince pies,
yeah.
And I got to say, especially the hotels that have a strong Filipino contingent, those Filipinos and Filipinas are epic with the carols, and they get right into it. They get right into the performance.
Yeah.
So that's Well,
I love it. Well, I've failed on my Christmas mission this year, which was to buy a classic Beetle for Amy because she's always wanted one.
Yeah, didn't happen.
She doesn't listen to this, so it doesn't matter. One is available and is in we're in the process, but I failed on the Christmas mission. So now I've got to be sat in traffic in the car all the way to a mall at some point, find something, because I can't do the online thing here. Delivery is the difficulty.
My wife
for me.
does the online. She's totally into the online, and I've bought some things online, but for the most part, I like to have the tactile experience of, okay, yeah, this is the one.
Yeah.
And I bought a pair of shoes online. They're the right shoes, and but I guess I could have sent them back, but I've made them work. And it's just, if I'd been at the store and tried them on, I probably wouldn't have bought them. Because I've had to modify them just a little bit. It's just lacing and stuff. But that a week of frustration of adjusting things where I would have sorted right at the store and just not got them. So
well, I'm just sat in the car somewhere at some point. Obviously, going to have to be in busy time. School's finished next week, so
that's a good thing.
Some people might travel.
Yeah.
And talking of driving, Amy is now, I think, converting to the ID.6.
She's loving it. Because she's doing the straight drive.
She's just got the one straightforward thing. I'm the one plugging it in on charge. I'm the one unplugging it from the charge. She doesn't know any of that goes on. So so she drove the Touareg the other day because we bought a charger, an EV charger up on the wall by our toolbox there. So I brought the ID.6 in to charge it, make sure it works.
And how fast did it charge on your charger in here?
It would have done a full charge from 40% in 6 hours.
Nice. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, which isn't bad.
Yeah, that works.
And to be fair, the cost of it wasn't too bad, but it's just so we've got it when we've got EVs in. We can just make sure that we're never going to get stuck with one draining on the ramp. Which could easily happen. Yeah, and I'm sure it has to a lot of people, so we don't want to come a cropper to that. But yeah, she had to use a Touareg that day, and she said to me, so noisy. Well, Touareg's a quiet car.
Yeah.
It's quite well made. So, yeah, she's obviously gotten used to the quiet, stress-free driving in the morning, watching it. Because now, obviously, at that time of day as well, you're watching the sunrise. And yeah, it's quiet. The temperature's good. You don't have the AC blasting. So she's converting to it, I think.
Wow. Best of show. Speaking of EVs, the 2022 Los Angeles Auto Show, best of show, went to the Hyundai, the Ioniq 6, took best of show, and there's a nice little piece of review action that I threw in here from the folks over at iccars.com. No, sorry, is it iccars.com? No, these folks are at cars.com. And we got the editor in chief. She had a couple words on it. The road test editor had some words on it. And the senior research editor had some words on this vehicle. And I thought it was kind of cool as they were talking about it. And there's things they like and things they don't like. But what the editor in chief of cars.com, she was saying was that she kind of liked the Porsche-esque rear view look of it. And it's the Ioniq 6.
Yeah, looking at it.
It's quite Porsche.
And yeah, it is, isn't it?
So she kind of liked that. the road tester, he said, one of the problems though with that Porsche look is that the back seat's a killer.
Yeah, no one in the back of that.
And but what the road tester liked was the mostly physical controls on the thing. So, and I was reading somewhere that Volkswagen, they're getting rid of the physical controls on most of their lineups, and they're going for these digital things. So that'll be
the haptic ones that are in that ID.6 are. I'd read a while ago that they were removing haptic.
Yeah, haptic's gone
because of the accidental activation. I'm thinking, what kind of ham-fisted clown is worrying about that?
Yeah, someone.
Me.
Yeah,
rubbish.
Yeah,
really bad. Just you're driving along and then all of a sudden the cruise control's on. So,
Damien Bell talking about the Ioniq 6. He's a senior researcher for Cars.com. He's saying its unconventional proportions make me think back to the 1930s Chrysler Airflow or the 1970s Citroen SM, classic cars with similar unorthodox profiles.
Yeah, the Citroen ones are good.
Yeah. So I thought that's kind of cool. I mean, swoopy, slooping roof lines. And he said, look, I'm a 6'6" tall guy, and I fit in the back seat better than I thought I would, thanks in part to the generous legroom. So, but again, it's an electric car. So they're coming though.
Yeah, I mean they're here. They're undeniably part of the scene now. It's just I don't want to charge a car, so
that's the problem. If you've got the home charger and you can plug it in and you're going to do
still don't want to do
city driving, maybe because your wife, she's happy, Amy's happy because it's charged and it's ready to go and she doesn't have to think about it. But if you've got to suddenly start thinking about charging and you're not just going to do the day drive, so you're going to start taking it on the highway, you're going to have charge anxiety. And
I can't go to Fujairah over the holidays in that car.
No.
I don't want that.
No.
That's no good to me.
No.
What, get it to the valet and have you got
plug it in?
Have you got a charger? What?
No. What charger? I don't even know.
So no, I'm not. And even if they have, they're not going to have 50 because if 50 people turn up with them.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, it's charge anxiety.
I don't want to deal with the charging. I'm sorry, I just don't. And even if somebody starts telling me, oh yeah, you can do a full charge in, 50 minutes. I don't know if we mentioned it, but when VW and Audi did all their research on how to, what would be acceptable for someone to spend charging their car, and they worked out in the UK that it was an average of 10 minutes that people spent in a petrol station. So you've got the queue filling up. Yeah. In the UK, you go in and you fill yourself and go in and pay.
Yeah, like Canada.
Come back out, and obviously most people have a wander around the mince pies, the pork pies, and the sausage rolls, and then don't buy anything, then come out. And then that's like 10 to 15 minutes. I can't remember. I think its average was 10 minutes. So their target was, well, if we can get a car to charge in 10 minutes, great.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic,
It
right?
sounds amazing, but can you imagine the danger in that place?
It sounds fantastic, but there's going to be some heat there.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of it. So I just don't want to charge my car. I've got no issue with an electric car. I like how they drive. Every single one I've driven handles really well.
Yeah,
low center of gravity, nicely balanced, can be pretty much 50-50 weight distribution, unless you've got like some hoss in the front seat with you. But I've got absolutely...
Did you say hoss?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got absolutely...
Bonanza days.
Yeah. I've got absolutely no desire whatsoever to charge an electric car. I'm sick of it, and I've only been doing it for a month.
Yeah, see?
I'm absolutely sick and tired of it.
I wonder how many EV owners have the same feeling. Like it was great, it's fun, it's like everything. Oh yeah, this is great, this is wonderful. All the features we get on our phones, it's great, it's wonderful. And then how many people are using them in the end? No one.
Yeah.
Like no one.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if EV is the same thing. It's just like, oh, I got to charge this.
One of the interesting things about this is that who was it who said it? So Brian Normail on the road test editor, when he did his review of this, he said that, was it him? Yeah, that's right, it was. He said, where are we? Oh, no, sorry, it wasn't. It was Damon Bell, the research editor. He said that it's unabashedly a car.
Yeah. It's
a car.
And these are from cars.com. This is the magazine, cars.com.
So that's
that's
cool, because that VW that I'm using is unnecessarily different from a normal VW.
And that's what the Bolt, when I got the Bolt for a while, a few years back.
The Chevrolet.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I got into it. It was too different.
Yeah.
And it was nice, but it made me think of an Airbus with the seating and all that. It was just, they were just trying way too hard to differentiate. It was like, just give me a car.
There's no character.
Yeah.
There isn't any character. Like I've said it before. I just feel like cars are just being treated now like just a gadget, like a mobile phone.
Yeah.
This is a Samsung, but you wouldn't know.
No,
you wouldn't
they all
know.
look the same.
You wouldn't know if
Put
it
a
was
case on it.
You've got no idea what it is. It's just a box that's got glass
Yeah.
on it. The cars are becoming the same. I just and this, it depends on how far you go with your conspiracy theorists and the Knights of the Templar and whatever else you want to talk about. But this could just all be a genuine, no, we need to get people stopping loving cars because in 10 years we're taking them away from everybody. If they imagine them trying to take cars away from people 10 years ago.
Never.
No chance. There'd be
Now?
riots in the street.
Now there's a possibility.
But in 10 years' time, who's going to care?
Exactly. And on that note, it's time for us to close up the show for yet another podcast. And we'll do it all again really, really soon. Glenn Power, Powerworks Garage. This is the Powerworks Podcast. My name is James Piecowye. And check out the rest of our content, whether you're looking at Podaholics, the James Cast, or the James Casts for the video version online. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again really, really soon. This is the Powerworks Podcast.